Are you looking for ways to bring the magic of the 80s to your Christmas?
We got you covered with our awesome 80s holiday gift guide.
Hi guys, I'm Abby.
And I'm Keith.
Welcome to our 80s Life podcast edition. So recently Keith and I were talking about some of our favorite toys from the 80s and games and things, and specifically ones that we got for Christmas.
Yeah, and I was really surprised when I started looking on Amazon that a lot of these toys are surprisingly still available today.
I know. I'm so excited to share these with you because some of our favorite toys, we started Googling them. We're like, okay, they still make that, or they've reintroduced it, or they've brought back this classic toy. So this is the year to find all those fun classic 80s toys that you know and love. So whether you're shopping for yourself or if you want to sort of pass the torch to the next generation and share with them all the fun toys that you grew up with, you are going to love this show.
That's right. You want to be that cool parent.
Exactly. One of the things that sparked this conversation was we were looking online and Keith was like, remember, and he was having a hard time describing it.
Remember that snake thing?
That snake thing, and it's like a puzzle.
You bend it and make different shapes with it.
And he goes, I wish I still had one of those. And y'all, it's like the only thing I had bought for him so far for Christmas. I had bought one for him to put in his stocking because we do stockings for each other. So I'm just going to give it to him now.
Yeah, she accused me of snooping down in the basement.
Because the way you said it, you were like, man, I wish I had one of those. And I was like, did he see that thing? Because I haven't wrapped it yet.
Just pure coincidence.
So, okay. So here you go, babe.
Oh, this brings back some memories.
So he hasn't, have you touched one of these since the 80s or played with it at all?
No, I have not.
Okay. So wait, put it back. This is the, it has different shapes. This is the diamond shape. Hold it and show them.
Okay, okay, now I see. There's the diamond.
If you're watching the video version, you can see this. It looks like a heart to me, but they're calling that the diamond. But look, they have all these different ones you can try to make.
Oh, man.
Now, it doesn't show you how to make it. It just shows you, but look at the frog.
The only one of all those I used to make was the giraffe.
The giraffe. Me too. I knew you were going to say that. The snake or the giraffe.
Yeah.
Well, look, can you make us a microphone for our podcast?
Yeah, maybe about the time we're done here.
By the end of the show, you'll have your microphone. I'll wait.
You might be waiting a while. First thing I gotta do is get it all straightened out here.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting was a lot of these things that we used to play with, like this one from the 80s, now they're calling them fidget toys.
Yeah.
That's like the new thing, fidget toys.
So little did we know that we were fidgety. We just didn't have an official name for it. It was toys for us. Now it's fidget toys.
They're all the rage. I think they're just putting it on there because people are searching for fidget toys, but
well, this is a fantastic fidget toy if you need one for your kids or for yourself.
It really is. We didn't think of it that way. It wasn't marketed that way. It was marketed like a puzzle. I think maybe these came out after the Rubik's Cube because those were really popular. The Rubik's Cube, by the way, the original one, is still available. You can buy the original one. But I feel like this was the next generation, capitalizing on the popularity of the Rubik's Cube because it has some similarities. What are you doing? You're starting over?
Oh, no, you told me to make a microphone. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you were halfway there.
No, I'm getting there. Now I'm going to make some progress. See, check that out. I've already made the handle.
Oh, okay. All right.
Man.
Well, we'll let him keep working on that. And we're going to talk about some of our favorite toys. This one will be on our gift guide. So what we're doing is...
I give up.
Okay. What we're doing is we're going to make a list of these fun things that we think that you guys will enjoy, that we love from the 80s. I'm sure you can come up with more. This was just our suggestions. And most of these things are going to be under $25. All the ones we're talking about today are under $25.
And that's pretty good considering how bad inflation is these days and how tight things are for everyone. So these are great gifts at a reasonable price.
Too bad we can't get 80s prices. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be awesome.
Okay. So we've put together this list. We've got a blog. We're going to link it below. And it's real handy because it's going to have each item and then it's going to have links to the items on Amazon where you can buy the things. So if you're interested in buying any of the items that we talk about today, we will have those listed on our gift guide, which will be linked in the show description below here.
All right. Well, I did make a microphone, but I did make a hatchet.
Okay, Axum Jax.
Axum.
All right. Okay, maybe we should take this away from you because you are a little fidgety with it.
I'm a little distracted.
Okay, the next item, also very magical. We have magic sand.
All kinds of magic.
There's a lot of magic from the 80s. Okay, so magic sand, the actual scientific name for it is hydrophobic sand. This is sand that does not get wet in water. So you pour it in the water and it magically doesn't get wet.
It repels the water.
It repels it. Yeah, that's a good word. And then you can make little sort of like sand sculptures in the water. And then you can scoop it out and it stays dry and you can reuse it. We actually made a video about this. We got our hands on some vintage 80s sand. Remember that? The magic sand was made by Wham-O. And sadly, Wham-O is no longer, I think, or else they're just not making it anymore.
They probably got bought out by someone else.
It is available still on Amazon. And I found a really nice set that has 6 different colors of the sand, and it's very reasonably priced.
Nice.
So I've included that in the holiday gift guide.
Sweet.
All right, what do you have for us, Keith?
All right, so who remembers Waterfalls? So there were these little handheld, I don't know if I call it a game. It's a
game.
Yeah, it's a game. And
it's a game of skill.
And it usually had like 1 or 2 buttons on it. So it was full of water. And you were trying to do something like, you'd push this button and it would like make the rings go up. And you were trying to, get them on a hook or something like that. There were different ones. But that was always my favorite. So you'd fill it up with water. You'd push that button as much as you could.
Yeah.
It would raise the ring up and it would try to go in. If not, you'd keep trying over and over again. But I think there are different varieties now. But I think it's come a long way from when we had the simple ring and hook.
Yeah, so it used to be like kind of like a basketball ring and hook game.
Oh, yeah, there was a basketball one too. That's right.
Yeah, there was basketball.
Yeah.
So the one that I found now, the original classic version has been updated, and now it's got 6 game options, which is really fun. So you still fill the water and all of that, and then they have these different backdrops that slide in, and so they're still the classic games, but instead of buying different ones, they're all in one. So the games are Space Aliens, which is basically Space Invaders. There's a basketball. There's one called Arcade Ball, which is clearly skee ball.
Oh, that's fun.
Pinball, Whack-A-Mole, and Road Rally, which is like a pole position racing game.
Wow, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, this is really a fun set. So it's a great price. It comes with all 6 games in one. You add your own water. It's exactly how you remember it, but it's just a new version. So, because I see old ones at estate sales sometimes, and you always kind of worry about that water's, if that is that water from the 80s, like that thing's going to have some mold in it or whatnot. But
I know what I'm asking for Christmas.
Oh, you're going to ask for waterfalls?
I think I might just.
Okay. All right. I think you should. Okay. Next up is the Speak and Spell. I loved this thing as a kid. Did you have a Speak and Spell?
I sure did.
Awesome.
I learned how to speak and spell.
It did help with my spelling. I will say I loved the games on there. So this was made by TI, Texas Instruments. My dad worked for TI, so I got one of them when they first came out. He brought it home. Later they came out with a math one, I think, but this is the original Speak and Spell. Now this is one from the 80s. It's actually 1978. But sadly, as y'all know if you watched my video, this does not work. I bought this at an estate sale. Keith tried really hard to revive it. We put fresh batteries and everything, but it just doesn't work. So
this one was well loved.
Oh, obviously, yes. And so anyway, but they have the exact one still available, brand new. So the new ones work. The only difference is the buttons aren't 3-dimensional. They're more smooth. But that's okay. It's got the same games and the same sound effects that we know and love from the 80s. And they also came out with an ET version, you guys. So there's an ET 40th anniversary version, which I think is so cute. It has the ET logo on it.
If you want that one, order it now, though.
Yeah, for some reason, that one it takes longer to get to you. So you'd have to order it right away if you want it for Christmas. So I would recommend just getting the regular one. But just wanted to let you know there is an ET version because, as you remember, ET uses this thing. He hooks it up to all those different gadgets, and he makes a way to phone home with the Speak and Spell. So how fun is that? All right, Keith, what item do you want to share with us next?
So an item that I really enjoyed as a kid was a game called Simon.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember that, it was a round game. It was digital, and it had 4 color buttons on it. And
Right.
what you had to do is it would start off really slow. So it would start off with 1 light, and then that one light up. And then if you got that one right, then it would do 2, 3, 4, so on. But then it not only had more sequences, it would go faster.
Oh, I forgot it went faster as you go.
So at the end, it would be like beep, 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 and you'd have to like replicate that.
Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, it was fun though.
It is fun. So they still make this. It has the original lights and sounds that you know and love. It looks like maybe it's a little bit smaller and less clunky with the buttons, but other than that, it looks basically the same.
Yes.
So we were excited to find out that Simon is still around.
I had some pretty solid Simon skills. I'd be curious to see if they translated in, if I carried those on with me 30 years later.
Well, I know you would beat me at that. I'm terrible at like memorization and sequencing. So I'm pretty sure you could beat me at that.
Well, I guarantee you that probably 12-year-old Keith could beat 50-year-old Keith at this.
Oh, you think you've lost a little bit
Well,
of
yeah,
skill
I like-
over the years?
I mean, it's kind of like remembering 80s music. I can remember almost every lyric to 80s music, but to ask me
Yeah.
to learn a lyric to a song today, forget about it.
Okay. Next up, we have Light Bright. Now, you guys might remember we've made a video about this. This is the new and improved. And a lot of times the newer version's not as good as the classic, but with Light Bright, we think it is. It may be even better than the original.
Yeah.
Probably better.
I liked it. It's a little bit more compact and
Look how skinny it is compared
Yeah.
to, remember the old one had that big honkin',
well, and you had
light
to,
box.
and you had to plug it in.
and it got really hot. People
Yeah.
were telling me in the comments, they were like saying that they used to overheat and get really hot and stuff. So
A fire hazard.
yeah, so these ones, it's battery operated, it's flat screen. The new Light Bright, totally awesome. Well worth the price. Okay, next Keith is going to tell us about something that is hard to describe.
Yeah, I know. Like, how do you describe this in a podcast? And it's technically another fidget toy. So I guess I was a fidgety kid because almost everything I picked has been now
Yeah.
what today would be considered a fidget toy. But this is so there was like this rail, and there was like this little ball that would go down the rail. It would come back, and so you would like use it'd like be some like wrist action to make the ball go back, and this little ball go back
Okay.
and forth on the rail. But now they're cool. Now they light up.
Yeah, now they light up. Okay, so this is how the Amazon description of what Keith just tried to describe to you.
Let's see who's better, Keith or Amazon.
It's called Retro Light Up Gyro Wheel Set for Kids. Rail twisters, mesmerizing spinning and lighting effects.
I think my description was better. Now, the other post we were looking at had an even better description. It said
Oh, it said poor quality.
poor quality in the title. It's like, obviously,
We're not picking that one.
yeah, that would not be one I would want to purchase.
Well, I think it just something got lost in translation, like it was a foreign producer. So they changed, instead of saying vintage, I think they meant vintage or classic, but it came out as
Poor quality.
poor quality. So we picked one that had great reviews, great price. It's a set of 2. You get a red one and a blue one, and they light up.
And these are
that's
fun. So
really
if you
cool.
get 2 of them, you and a friend, y'all can have races.
Oh, yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah.
I mean, it just comes back.
Or you could hold one in each hand,
Yes.
and you can see if you could do 2 at once.
All right. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Are you adding that to your Christmas list too?
And these be our party games at Christmas time.
Yes. Okay, the next item I have is Wacky Wally. This is the original wall crawler. Now, you said you remembered having this, but not this particular style or brand. You had like the knockoff version?
I'm sure I had the knockoff version. We had these where you would throw it up against the wall and it would
Yeah.
crawl down the wall.
Right.
But I don't think I had a Wacky Wally, though.
Oh, weird. Okay. Well, they also have them that look like little men with the arms and legs.
Yeah.
But this was, it's like an octopus. It's definitely the one that I remember. It has all, it's like an octopus. So it has like the 8 legs that crawl down the wall. You throw it up high and it crawls down. Well, we, for some reason, would have so much fun with this. And if you get two of them, which this one does come with a set of two, it's best to have two because, like you said with the other one, you can have races.
Yeah.
And that was the fun part because they're kind of unpredictable. I think that's what we liked about them. It's like you would throw it and it would just sort of do its own thing. They're just like a sticky gel. It won't hurt your walls or anything.
Just don't do it around dirt because I just remember, man,
they get dirty.
They get dirty,
Yeah.
and then they don't stick very good after that.
Well, my friends and I would wash ours, so I think they're washable. You can.
So
We used to
so you
just
could rinse it off.
we would rinse it and just use a little bit of hand soap, and it would get like re-sticky again. So
Oh,
I
cool.
think you can just wash them, or if you're a boy, you can just get dirt on it and then you just throw it away.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you just spit on it.
Just spit on it. No, me and my friends, after they weren't sticky anymore, we would just wash them, and it sort of like rejuvenated it. So anyway, Wacky Wally, super
Wacky
fun.
Wally.
That would be a great stocking stuffer.
All right, one thing I loved as a kid was Play-Doh.
Me too.
And I always liked the special sets. And my favorite set was the Fuzzy Pumper.
The Fuzzy Pumper Barbershop.
Yeah. So if
Yes.
you remember, there was like a guy and a girl, and it was like
A little chair.
they had a little chair, and then you like did a little crank, and it would make their hair grow.
They had holes in
It
the top.
had holes in their head, and so the pressure would make the Play-Doh come through. It looked like hair, and then there were some scissors, and you could trim it.
Yeah. You give him a haircut.
That's great.
Okay, I have a funny story about the Fuzzy Pumper. I had another one. They have the haircut one, and then they also had one that just made shapes that came out, that squirted out too.
Oh yeah, I like that. I had one of those.
Okay, so I had one of those, and I was really little, like 2 or 3. And my dad and I got really into it, and we were playing with that thing, and we were mashing it down, making the shape squirt out. And, we figured out if you could hit it hard, then they could come flying out. And we had a coffee table that had a glass top on it.
Ooh, let's see if this is going.
Yeah, we broke it.
Oh,
and
man.
my mom is like, comes in there, what did you guys do?
So who broke it, you or your dad?
I mean, it was obviously my dad, but he and I were playing together, but yeah, we totally broke the coffee table. So, but this toy is not dangerous. I think my dad just didn't know his own strength.
Yeah, well, this one's different. It
It's
has
got a
it
crank.
has a little crank on it, so you won't be like putting
You're not
pressure
slamming
to
it
slam
down.
the thing down.
Yeah, the other one you slam down. I don't think you're supposed to slam it. I think you're just supposed to gently press it, but yeah. Anyways, but the Fuzzy Pumper Barbershop was like the next generation, and it was where you could give them the haircut, and it's just a crank. But
Now, speaking of next generation,
oh my gosh, the new one, there's a new one.
they have a Star Wars Chewbacca version.
And it's pretty much the cutest thing ever.
It's like you give Chewbacca some hair.
You can give Chewbacca some hair.
But it's kind of funny because I was looking at the pictures, and it looks more like dreadlocks.
It looks like Chewbacca with dreadlocks. But it's really cute.
But I like the idea.
It's a great idea. So for the Star Wars lover in your life, you might want to get the Chewbacca Fuzzy Pumper version.
I would highly recommend it.
Is that on your list?
All the stuff's on my list.
All right, next I want to talk about creepy crawlers. Now, Keith does not remember this product.
Nope.
It's a little obscure. I don't think it was like massively popular, but I know there were a lot of people who liked it. And I was one of those, although I had a girly version, which instead of making bugs, you made flowers. So this toy, you melt. It's kind of hard to explain. It comes with this sort of like goo stuff, and you melt the goo. I think now you do it in the microwave, but back then in the 80s, before we all had microwaves, it came with like a little thing you plugged in. It was like a heating pot. I'm sure it wasn't the safest toy.
So it's kind of like one of those candle things you have today.
Like wax melts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but these were like goo, like sticky, and you melted it, and then you poured it into these different molds, and you basically just made some little molded critters, but they were like bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you could like scare your friends, and then they made like glow in the dark ones, and the cool thing too, you could reuse them. So you could remelt the critters of the same colors and just use them over and over, or mix the colors.
Okay.
So anyway, I couldn't remember if this was an actual toy or if I had a fever dream. I was like, did I dream that, or is that a real thing? So I looked it up. It was a real thing. And they don't make the flower one anymore, but they still make the bug one. It's called Creepy Crawler's Alien Bug Maker Kit. and you can melt, create, and creep. It
Man.
says melt, create, and creep out your friends.
I would have loved that as a kid.
In the commercial, it shows a boy scaring his sister.
Of course.
So that is so fun, and it's still a thing.
All right, who remembers the Spirograph? I used to love that. So you had the little your pencil or a pen, and you'd have like the round plastic thing, and it would kind of go in a circle, and it would make all kinds of cool different designs. That's probably a really bad description of a really cool thing.
Okay, well, the Spirograph, it's an older toy. It's pre-'80s, but we definitely played with it in the 80s, and our daughter had it in the early 2000s, didn't she, Key?
Yeah, because some of our furniture still has the memory of that Spirograph.
Yeah, we let her use it on our dining room table, and it was a pretty new table at the time. She was really going to town with that thing. With a ballpoint pen, which we don't recommend, you should definitely put something under it. Don't put it right on the wood with one little thin piece of paper, because what happened was it went through, so we have like a little etched design memory. I love seeing that. It doesn't bother me at all. And it's so faint. Like, you can barely see it, but it's definitely there. So the new version is just like the old classic. It comes with all the things you need to make hundreds of designs. It's a really fun for like kids that like art, especially older kids.
Yeah,
I think would get into this. So, and they have some newer versions, but I just linked the original classic version.
Yeah, for the artsy kid out there or adult, this is a
Perfect.
fun toy.
Yep. Okay, the next one is a little bit obscure. See if you guys remember this. It's called Squirmels.
I want to see you describe this.
Okay, it's like a fuzzy, sort of like a caterpillar, fake, like a little fuzzy worm.
Oh, they're real. They're not fake.
It just says it's a magical pet. That's all it says on the package. It doesn't tell you really. It says like the secret is inside. Remember this? It has a little secret book.
It's a string.
Yeah, you don't find out until you open the package. Spoiler alert, it's a string.
It's like clear fishing line.
Clear fishing line tied to a little cardboard thing, and you tuck the cardboard piece into your pocket, and then you have the clear string. I mean, it's a really tiny string, so it is hard to see. So it's pretty magical, but there is a skill set. The kids have to have some patience to learn how to use this thing.
But if you can learn,
oh, it's cool.
it's cool, and you could probably trick some people.
It looks so realistic. If you get the motions right, it makes it look like it's crawling and doing different tricks. It's really cute, and they're very cheap. Like, this is a great stocking stuffer. Super adorable. Our daughter loved them. They have the little googly eyes.
Yeah, hers was named Slidey.
She named her Slidey, and she took it everywhere, and she was really into it. And there's a video on the Amazon site of this guy doing a demo, and this guy is like awesome at
He
it.
has mad skills.
He did. We both watched it and we're like, okay, that is wild. Like, it looks so real. So if you get good at it, it's awesome. Okay, let's talk about board games. There's so many classic board games that we played in the 80s that are still fun.
Especially before video games came out.
Yeah, the early 80s before we got like our Nintendos and
Yeah,
Ataris.
because that's how we entertained ourselves. You either played outside or you played board games.
Okay, so what was your favorite board game in the 80s?
That was definitely, for me, Monopoly. The finance guy in me. I mean, I ended up getting a finance degree is because who loved counting all the money?
I mean, I actually hated that game, so it's so funny. But it doesn't really surprise me that you liked it.
Oh, man, I'd get vicious when you start getting the houses and the hotels. I was bankrupting people. You know, it was awesome.
I think that's a common tale. I think a lot of families got into arguments over Monopoly. And it's an older game. It's not an 80s game per se. It's older than that, but we played it in the 80s.
Here's the way I think about Monopoly.
Okay.
Friends are made by playing Monopoly, and friends are lost by playing Monopoly.
For sure. Yeah, because people can get vicious.
I remember me and some of the neighborhood kids getting into day-long fights over a Monopoly game. I mean, words were said. We stopped talking to each other.
That's sad.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was still your favorite game.
Yeah, it's still my favorite game. But we took Monopoly serious. But you really had to watch out for those cheaters.
You can cheat?
Well, yeah, because someone would try to slide an extra $500 their way.
The banker.
The banker.
Yeah, you got to pick somebody you can trust to be the banker.
You had to have high integrity if you were going to be the banker.
Oh, I'm sure you were
the
a great banker.
could swindle money very easily.
No, my friends never did that.
Mine did.
Okay.
You know who you are.
Okay, so there's a classic 80s version that you can get that's exactly how we remember, or there's the newer, updated version. The main difference are the little movers, the characters. So they've added a dinosaur, a duck, a cat, and a penguin. So then I looked to see, like, what did they take the place of? They took away the shoe, iron, horse guy, and thimble. So I'm not sure why they made those changes, but there seem to be more animal characters now, and I'm not sure it really matters. So it just depends on which one you want. The game is the same.
I wonder if inflation has hit Monopoly as well. I wonder if you start
Get
with
more
more
money?
money, or if like
Oh.
Boardwalk now costs you $1 million instead of $300, whatever it was back in the day.
Monopoly inflation version. I
Yes.
mean, I don't know. Because I haven't played it in a long time, because early in our marriage we played it and we had one of those aforementioned Monopoly fights, and I don't think we ever played it again, honestly. And I think that's probably for the best.
You didn't like it anyway.
Okay, the game that I really loved from the 80s and still do is Sorry.
Yeah, that's a pretty vindictive game as well.
It can be, but what I like about it is when you knock the person out or send them back home, you have to apologize. You have to say, sorry.
Well, you
But
say,
you say it kind of cheeky.
well, yeah, and this is what Abby does. She gets her little piece and she knocks it really hard, like the piece flies across the room, and she's like,
Sorry. That is a fun game.
That doesn't sound apologetic to me.
Okay, but the other reason I like it better than Monopoly is that you can come back from that more easily, whereas on Monopoly, once somebody gets a Monopoly, they just run away with the game and there's really no coming back for the losers. But with Sorry, the tables can turn rather quickly and you can then get the person back.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really fun, and it's, I think it's a good game. We played it a lot with our daughter, and it doesn't take like forever to play
Yeah,
either, like Monopoly.
It's a pretty quick game.
Pretty quick.
Yep.
So it hasn't changed. It's still the classic game you know and love, and it's still available. Okay, what do you have for us next, Keith?
The next game on my list is Operation.
He picked all the games that I hated.
It's like a game of anxiety right there.
I mean, you either love or you hate this game.
You know what this is? It was electric, and you'd have your little
I think everybody knows.
tweezers,
Yeah.
and you try to get the little body parts out. But if you went too far and touched the ledge, his nose would light up and it would go.
And scare the crap out of you.
Yep.
Okay, so it is a skill game. It's labeled for ages 6 and up.
Okay.
I feel like a 6-year-old, that might be a stretch.
If
But
you have a steady hand, I think any age can play it.
do you know the name of the guy that's on the operating table? I didn't know this until I just now saw it, but I'm not going to tell you. I want to see if you know.
Willard.
His name is Cavity Sam.
Because he has cavities?
Well, no, because his whole body
I know.
is a cavity.
Well, I know. I didn't mean in his teeth.
Cavity Sam. Now, here's something fun. So the game is classic, just how you remember it, but they did add an extra piece to the newer version. They had people vote. Apparently, I didn't get in on this vote, but they added brain freeze, and it's a little ice cream cone in the brain area. It's so cute.
Nothing worse than a brain freeze.
Brain freeze. You get those a lot.
I get them all the time.
He always is. I don't want to.
Well, it's because like if
I
I
never
if
get
I get ice cream, like an ice cream
You
bar,
just eat it
I just eat it
fast.
real fast.
I ate mine slow. All right, so they have added brain freeze. Now, they also have themed ones. So if you want to get like a newer, different version, there's a Nightmare Before Christmas with Oogie Boogie.
Okay.
There is a Paw Patrol version. There's a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like the classic one, where it's Bumble the abominable snowman that you're operating on. And there's also a Baby Yoda version, among other. I mean, there's tons of them out there. So lots of fun opportunities for gifts. Who remembers this classic game? Guess who? Now, this is the 80s version, but they still make this game. It's still great. It hasn't changed much, although there are also, like the Operation, there's updated versions. Like you can get a Pets one, you can get Disney Princess, you can get Mario. There's a Mario one with like Princess Peach and all the different characters. Very cute.
Or you can just make your own 80s version.
Okay, so tell them what we did with our Guess Who game.
We tricked out our Guess Who game and put 80s characters on the slots instead of just these random people.
Yes, and it was so fun. And it's still like that, so when we play, we can have the 80s version.
Yeah, so it might be Michael Jackson. I think JR is on there. There's all kinds of famous 80s celebrities
Richard Simmons.
That made the cut.
Yeah, so be sure and watch that video if you missed it. We will link it for you. It's hilarious. So the fun thing about this game is you can get it. You can just play it if you want, however you want. But the cards are removable, and it's real easy to add your own.
All right, so these are just a few examples of the list of items that we have on our awesome 80s holiday gift guide.
So be sure and check that out. We will link it for you below. And happy shopping, y'all.